And the
Gotcha.
marshals show up calling the dead guy's name, and they've got their flashlights and they've got their guns, and you know all about the marshals. They don't like apocalyptics one bit.
Right.
And
Gotcha.
but they're obviously here like looking for the guy.
Okay. How many voices do I hear?
You hear two voices.
Two voices. And how tough are these guys normally? Like,
they're pretty tough. They carry they are basically consider themselves law and order, and they tend to carry things like shotguns, and their characteristic weapon is this big ass hammer that they like to carry.
Oh my!
Hit people with. So yeah.
So in my estimation, my chance of taking them both on is probably low.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So then I'm going to try to find. Okay.
Go ahead.
I'm going to try to find something to hide behind, where even if they're using the flashlight, it'll block me from the. Yeah.
Right. That's actually going to be a pretty easy task. I'm not going to give you any. It's even an easy task has a difficulty of 4. You can see. Yeah, I know. The game's like, but if you look at your abilities for this, which are going to probably be, you got yourself your stealth, so you got 7 plus 5, so you have an action value of 12 this time, and a difficulty of 4.
Okay. So I should roll again?
Right. So 4 to 12 is your success range.
I get a 10.
Excellent. So that's exactly what we're aiming
at.
So you do.
Okay,
right?
Good.
So excellent. There's all kinds of like the main quarter, as you can see, is pretty empty, but let's say you've wedged yourself into the room that's marked 6. So you've been feeling your way along the leftward wall, turned the corner, got yourself turned around or whatever, so you're in 6 and are able to like look out the door while they're going past.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, I would have, in a game like this, it would have been better if I said, so do you go left or right? And then we would have found out, but that's okay. Anyway, yeah, so they're shining their flashlights around and are being all, strident about everything. And so it's going to be a fairly easy. I mean, you're nice and successfully hidden. They're not going to find you by flashing their lights around and calling. Even if they walk right past that door, you've got yourself all nicely wedged somewhere. The next thing that happens, because you're effectively safe from their scrutiny, as far as I'm concerned, because they've got a lot of other things to be concerning themselves with.
Right.
They're way more about, finding this guy, and so they're like looking. They're not looking under boxes, right?
Right.
And so you can hear lots of clattering and clanging, lots of a door being kicked in. You can, one guy stops in awe and says, holy crap, look at this place, right? And this is a few doors away. You can hear their voices faintly, like, look at this place, holy crap. It's like, and so they're amazed, at whatever they've found. Now I want you to to try a perception check of some kind. What do we have in this game that gives us a perception, if anything? Is there a...
There's intelligence, there's...
I'm trying to remember if there is... I think it actually may be just a matter of the reaction roll.
Reaction I have.
Yeah, that we're going to see whether you are primed to react well when the when the trouble hits.
Okay. So my reaction is 4 plus agility 7 is 11.
Mm-hmm. And this one is tricky. So I'm looking at their difficulty levels. Tricky. So 6 to 11 is your range. Okay. You can drop the 6 by spending vitality, which right now you haven't spent.
Do I spend before or after I roll?
Sadly,
before.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So what is it? 6 to 11
Yeah.
is the range.
Mm-hmm.
Let's spend 2 points of vitality.
Sounds good. So
So
4 to 11.
4 to 11. Okay, here we go. 13.
Oh. Okay. And that's no problem, because what that means is you're going to be struck along the way of the creature who lunges out of the darkness from behind you to get out the door. So basically,
Gotcha.
instead of
Okay.
staying, you can hear it suddenly like unearth itself from the wreckage and the room you're in, but it doesn't. But you're not able to get out of its way, and you're just another target as far as it's concerned. So,
Okay.
um, so the darkness. I mean, their lights have moved on into that other weird room, whatever it
Sure.
is they were looking at. So, the horrific nature of this creature is not immediately evident to you, and so that moves us into um, our whole combat situation here. Okay, so I've got the attack skills, and they are not really aiming at a specific target to attack you. This is not a duel. They're just basically barreling over you, and it's the kind of creature that does damage as it goes, because that's just what it's like. And so
Okay.
the the target body zone is therefore just the torso, which is a difficulty 0. Um, and the other difficulty modifiers, range, movement distance, I'll knock it off a couple for the movement distance. You're not in a defensive stance, so it's going to raise the difficulty up to a 4 for it. And let's see how I do. Because why don't you roll the 2d10 for me?
Okay.
Right. So rolling a number of dice equal to the attack's damage potential, and so hopefully it'll say here what its damage potential is. Why, yes, it is 4. 4 parenthesis 7, but right now I'll pick the lower one because it's not really going, after you, right? It's just
Gotcha.
clawing its way through you, basically. So so that's 4 dice, and then the action value for the attack value is its penetration, right? And each die is added together. Okay, I'm doing the numbers here. Don't worry about it. Roll 4 dice and tell me what you get on each one.
4d10?
Mm-hmm.
D10s?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. I got a 6, a 4, a 1, and a 3.
Oh, wow. It only inflicts 1 wound.
Oh, well, that's lucky.
Yeah. And the penetration's is unpleasant. So you're going to be taking you will be taking a flesh wounds to the upper body, the torso, obviously, which is where it hit you, and so it's just 1 flesh wound. Could have been a lot worse.
Okay, 1 flesh wound,
Right.
upper body.
And especially because none of those rolls was especially high, but like a 10 could have inflicted a trauma wound, for example.
Gotcha.
So
I got a slash across the back or something.
yeah,
like
exactly. Just plows you down.
Yeah.
Right. It goes right through you, and
Yeah.
and this some sort of enormous scuttling, at least human size, at least, scuttling, and the terrible creature. All the monsters in here are all modified humans, so that kind of makes it worse.
Oh my.
Yeah. So
Yes,
exactly.
it
So it's
does.
not like a cockroach or something. I mean, this is some sort of mutated person, and gets out there, and is running along the hall. and even worse, it's shouting "Father, Father."
Oh man,
Yeah,
have a nice stroll.
yeah, exactly. Now, depending on how this had played out in a couple of ways, you might have found yourself more in a face-off with the marshals and this creature, and we would have
Right.
rolled. And you can see where the game goes. We've got initiative. There's an initiative roll. You can burn vitality to improve your initiative, reduce difficulties, or to increase damage. Um, there's so you would have this situation, and the burn, if you dosed yourself with it, would jack up a bunch of your attributes.
Gotcha.
So
But you'd
we,
pay for it later somehow.
oh, it's the addiction rules are quite hideous, actually.
Okay.
Um, and
Right.
the thing I don't think we have time for this tonight, but I think you could see how this goes in a game like this. Right now, Deirdre's problem really is just getting out of there while the marshals and this creature butcher each other, right, if possible.
Right.
And so there would probably be some roles involved in doing that. The place is full of salvage and scavenged stuff. So the chance of finding like a cool pistol or something like that is reasonable.
Good.
So who knows
So,
where the action could go, right?
and I could even go after the marshals myself and
Exactly.
loot the
Right.
bodies and so on. Right.
Exactly. So there's room for lots of different activity, and as you can see, the game is also built for how far will you burn on your own resources or dose yourself with dangerous drugs just to make it through. Right. It's not. It's intended to be too hard, which is kind of a nice thing about it.
Gotcha. So
Um,
there's is there how does the game have you refresh your vitality?
it's
Or-
fairly. I'll have to look for vitality in particular, but it's a fairly naturalistic game. It's more like about healing type
Okay.
stuff. So I think it's very much a matter of like days and hours and stuff like that, and less about scenes and phases.
Okay.
Um, the other, I think, kind of important point though, is that in this game world, you basically end up choosing what to fight for, if that makes any sense. There's a lot of you can treat all the different kinds of characters as just hats to wear, or you can kind of get into the ideological underpinnings of the game and pick something that you think is good, that your character is all about, right? And
Okay.
see what they can do. The game's a little light on discussing that element of things, but it's so freaking vivid in terms of what they are that treating them as just hats with power sets doesn't seem as much fun.
Right.
Um, so what the game and then there's experience points and stuff like that, which are mainly an improvement based thing.
Okay.
So if we compare these two game experiences,
Mm-hmm.
one of them, the impact on the larger world, although it's more symbolic, there is no real world in the Hour and Dog and Wolf between Dog and Wolf. It is all just this fictional presentation.
It's
So
all how you look at it. Yeah.
right, or or how the world
Yeah.
has confirmed itself to you as you see
Yeah.
it. And but whatever that larger world is, fictionally speaking, it is going to be a function of what happens during play. The connection
Right.
it's one to one. It just is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the in DeGenesis, it's a soft effect. What what does Deirdre manage to accomplish, learn, or locate in this scene? What does I mean, there's a lot of stuff there. I mean, there's the whole former control station for the U-Bahn. There's a lot of cool stuff. There's a tunnel that goes, an escape route. This is a really nice, valuable bolt hole for someone or a group of someone's. Um, if she had been sort of a low-ranking apocalyptic chick with a knife, and now she's able to sort of interact with others, from the standpoint of this area. Um, I mean, what could happen next?
Okay.
And maybe she has a position, or maybe there's room here for her opinions about things rather than just be a "do I die tonight" character, um, to actually matter
So
for
the,
something.
so the effects on the larger world in that case are more like um, a natural consequence of what happens in her story.
Exactly. So
That's okay.
situational prep and the little maps you use, and the choices made by what the character says they do next.